Brace yourselves, everybody. We're going to talk about relationships. Hey, so I'm going to talk about something that I wanted to avoid. Like, I didn't want to talk about relationships. I didn't want to focus on relationships because so many people talk about relationships and getting married. But for some reason, I felt compelled to make a short video, and I'm also going to post a couple of blogs sitting around this too. But I wanted to share my thoughts and some things that I've learned in the relationship realm. All right, so the other day on Twitter, this conversation is always going on, but the other day on Twitter, I saw some people having a conversation about Christian men, right? That's how it started. For me, anyway, how I got suckered into this conversation. So the Christian ladies were talking about how the Christian men have no game. And they were also talking about that how Christian men that they've encountered are unattractive. Like, oh, that hurt. That hurt so bad. So their complaint was that Christian men have no game or charm. That they come up to them and be like, hey, girl, is your name Faith? Because you the substance of all the things I done hope for. Or something just cringy like that. Or they just go out and quote all sorts of Bible verses. And it's like, it reminds me of when in nature, okay, where an animal will go out and they'll beat their chest or they'll let out some sort of sound or scream or scent to draw potential mate's attention. That's what a lot of my brothers do. Now, some of the sisters do it too. Don't think you're not getting out of this. But I've noticed some of the sisters do that too. But we have to stop that. You don't have to go out and show how much you know to attract someone. The most important thing you can do is be yourself. All right? Be yourself, no matter what. And as you are yourself, you won't have to change anything when you get into a relationship, because you don't have to keep up a facade. You don't have to keep up the appearance that you are what you presented yourself as to get this person's attention or their interest. Okay? So just be yourself. But anyway, that was one of the biggest complaints. Like, they don't woo, they're just blah. All right? So, and then they start talking about how they're unattractive. And I'm like, yo, okay, time out. All right. Game, I understand. But calling people ugly, like, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Now, if someone's unattractive to you, fine, that's cool. You're not going to be handsome. You're not going to be beautiful to everybody. All right? Some of those things we can't handle. We can't change our genes unless you want to get plastic surgery. But I'm not going to judge. But if some of those things we can't change. But there is an aspect to where we can change how we dress. We can change how we carry ourselves. And that's one of the things, too, is like, if you're going to be in a relationship or whatever, you're trying to draw somebody's attention, the most important thing, well, not the most important, but one of the important things to do is to have confidence. You be yourself and you have confidence. All right. There was a time in my life to where I had like no confidence, especially in high school. Like, I thought I was like the ugliest thing walking. I thought I was the scum of the earth. And it was so hard. Like, I had such low self-esteem. And I remember I would pray all the time, like, God, please help me see myself, build my confidence up, blah, 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 blah. And I would just pray about that over and over. I remember I was at there was a women's conference, and I went with my friend to help clean because we didn't have nothing else to do. So we was like, okay, we just went and helped clean. I was like 20 at the time, 19, 20. And there was this older lady that was sitting in the chair in the hallway. And I walked by her, and she stopped me. She said, hey. She said, "Is that your birthmark?" I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And like, yeah. And she was like, "That's just so beautiful. Like, oh my God." And she just went on and on and on and on. And my chest stuck out like, yeah. But that kind of started my the way I started to see myself, the way I started to view myself and carry myself. I just like, you know what, this is me. I'm Kofi. All right. I've been made fun of about my name. I've been made fun of about my birthmark or whatever. It's like, but this is who I am, and I'm going to embrace that, and I'm going to walk in confidence in that. And if whoever likes it, awesome, love you. Whoever doesn't like it, awesome, I love you. But I'm going to go on with my life because I'm not going to change that to suit you, because you're not going to change anything about yourself to suit me. You know what I'm saying? So, so said all of that to say is to, when it comes to physical appearance and attractiveness, there are things that we can change. There are things that we can do, and there are also things that we can't do. So like but what has to happen though is that you have to be confident in yourself. If you think you need to go work out, go work out. If you think you need to start trying different hairstyles and stuff, do that. But at the bottom line is be confident in you. Now the next thing is, the next day I followed it up and I asked the men. I said, "Hey brothers, I did it in a humorous way, but I was like, hey, so the ladies feel this way. How do you feel about that?" And I just started to open up a dialogue. I said, "Hey, the women feel this way. What are your thoughts on it?" And a lot of them kind of started talking to me about how women make it hard because they throw mixed signals, or they really don't know what they want. They say that they want one thing, but then they come another way, and it's like both sides accuse one another of things. And there's what I've realized, that there's like a great communication gap. So there was a time, and I'm going to talk about this at a later point, but there was a time a few years ago, it's still prevalent, but not as prevalent as it was. But there was a time a few years ago where there was this thing that we call purity culture, that just blew up. It was huge, and they had a lot of good things to say. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that. And their intentions were good, but I think that they set some sort of unreal expectations. I think that also a lot of the things that they did say was kind of like, huh? Like, for example, one of the oh god, I cringe even thinking about it, but one of the statements that they said all the time, that I've heard recycled over and over, is that a woman must be so lost in God that a man must go to him to find her, and stuff like that. I'm just like, so, but like I said, it's well-intentioned stuff, and so then now when the women would profess things like this, it gives us men the idea that we must be deep, we must be this certain way to attract a woman's attention. Then you'll see all over social media too, that these statements about, oh, my husband need to be a man of God, he must do X, Y, and Z. So then men try to fit the bill or whatever, but then they don't live up to these expectations. And then on the flip side of that, men say something about women or whatever, and so I'm jumping all over, but like I'm just thinking about like all of the purity culture stuff, like the Proverbs 31, the Ephesians 5, man, like all this stuff. People like, yeah, you gotta be da. Bottom line, Christian dating has become a mess. So what I propose in this video is that although Christian dating has become a mess, like some people want to talk about pursuing. If that's you, awesome, pursue. But ladies, whenever a man's trying to pursue you, don't make it like a game. Like, they'll treat it like it's a game, and they'll intentionally not respond or whatever, to where a man must keep chasing after him. And it's like, you gotta let that interest be reciprocated, because as a guy, we want to know, like, hey, am I wasting my time? Like, we have a lot of pride. Women have pride too, but speaking from a man's perspective here, and I can't always speak for women, but as a man, coming from a man's perspective, we have this we fear rejection. We have pride. So a lot of times, whenever we let our guard down and we're chasing after a woman, uh, we want to feel that reciprocated affection. We want to feel that reciprocated attraction. We want to know that, hey, you feeling me, I'm feeling you. All right, let's do this thing. But if there's like, 1 minute, you're like, oh, you're into it, then you're standoffish to make him come after you more. Like, come on, like, why play that game? Whatever. So, but I just want to say too, though, I want to add that being single is not a death sentence. Some of us aren't ready for a relationship. Some of us aren't ready mentally, spiritually, physically, in so many different ways. Emotionally, I don't know if I said it already, but yeah, like we're not ready, and we want to be. Our heart longs for that, but we're not necessarily ready, and that's not a bad thing. So don't look at it as a bad thing. Just look at it as a way for you to improve and to get better. And that's one of the things that I've started to tell a lot of people that I talk to when we get into relationship conversations. And that's what I taught at a church I used to attend, where it's like singleness isn't a burden, it isn't a curse. Being single puts you in a great position to work on yourself, puts you in a great position to work on your relationship with God and to grow stronger. And we would do a great service to ourselves if we take advantage of that. There's like so many things that God wants us to do when he has us alone and has our attention. He wants to purify us. He wants to purify us in heart and purify us in mind and spirit. And we can get a lot accomplished when we're not constantly worrying about someone else. And that's what Paul was getting at. He said, he was talking about, I wish you were like me. Because now, as you are alone and it's just you and God, right? That's your concern. You don't have to worry about what your wife's doing. You don't have to worry about what your husband's doing. It's just you and him, and you can build on that. So then as you're building on that, okay, you're discovering things about yourself. You're discovering what you like, what you dislike, what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate. So then in that way, when you get into a relationship with someone, you won't lose who you are, okay? You won't forget, you won't try to be a chameleon to appease whoever you're with. If they like this, well, I'm going to be that because this is what they like. Like, no, well, that's not me. I guess we're not meant to be, but it's just, you have to be confident in yourself, know who you are, all right, and grow in that, and grow in Christ. Everything else will come. I'm telling you, everything else will come. But the most important thing is to not go out and make getting married your primary focus, your sole focus. I've done that and it's horrible. I've made some bad decisions. All right, so I'm telling you from experience, and I'm telling you from things that I've learned too. So with this, I'll leave you with this video. The next video, I'm gonna talk about a very taboo topic within the church, and that's sex. But so I just want to leave you with this though. To thine own self be true. And in the wise words of Sun Tzu, know yourself, know your enemy. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. I'm paraphrasing, but basically what I'm saying is know who you are, know what you're against, know what you're for, know what you'll tolerate, what you won't, and you will not be compromised if you know your limits. Love you.